Okay, here we are.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. If you are here in the comments, go ahead and make sure you say hello. Tonight, we are going to be making it a little bit shorter. We're going to try to make sure we keep it in a 45-minute range, as I do have to head out a little bit earlier tonight. So if you're watching this in replay, it is a shorter discussion. So, but yeah, make sure you let us know that you are here. Tonight we are going to be just doing our live discussion on Ruth Ware's In a Dark, Dark Wood. So that was our October book club book pick. So we'll be discussing that tonight. But before we get into that, we always like to start off with what we will be reading next month. So I will let Laura take the lead on that and let you all know what we'll be doing.
It was pretty close, I have to say, between two of them, although really the last one, which was Wild, that did not get picked, that was not too far off either. I mean, it was back there, but it was, yeah. This was really, really tight, but the winner is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. So it's a memoir for Nonfiction November about the Walls family and their 4 kids. And I think basically how messed up it was. I think there's alcoholism and abuse, and I don't really know, to be quite honest. I'm nervous to read this one, very much so, but there's supposed to be beautiful writing and a well-told story of her life. So here we go, Glass Castle.
I know my mom just read this for the first time this past summer, and she really liked it. She went and got the sequel as well and jumped right into the next one.
So. Nice. Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah. So that'll be the November read, nonfiction book for Nonfiction November. And then just an FYI, for December, there will be no picks or anything like that. We'll take that month off for the holidays so that no one needs to worry about any desired reading. They can just do what they want to do, read or not read, but we'll pick back up in January. Now you'll still see there'll be polls for January's book. So you'll see stuff for that, but it probably will be more towards the middle of December, or the beginning of December. I'm not quite sure what we discussed, but enough time that you're able to acquire whatever book we'll be reading in January.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Oh, and then one last thing for our last reading sprints in November, that'll be on the 6th. So on Sunday, November 6th, we'll do our reading sprints. And I'll be starting The Glass Castle on that day. So yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and just jump right into our live discussion. Again, we are discussing Ruth Ware's In a Dark, Dark Wood. If you are trying to avoid spoilers, I recommend not watching the live
stream. Don't watch this,
We give away everything. We talk about everything, so there are definitely lots and lots of spoilers in this. But let's go ahead and start. We always like to start with discussing our rating of the book. So let us know in the comments what you would rate this book. 1 out of 5, 5 being amazing. So think the way that Goodreads goes. So we have 1 to 5. Laura, what would your rating be?
I'm going to say 3.25, maybe a 3.5. This is my first Ruth Ware, and the first third of this book was the most creepy for me, and it really hit a lot of big fears for me. So that really scared me, and I couldn't quite shake it all the way. Otherwise, I liked it. Nothing was totally fantastic. Nothing was totally horrible. It was middle of the road, but it was, creepy. So not just a 3.25 maybe. Yeah. Okay. How about you?
Fair enough. I think if I would have rated this immediately after I finished reading it, it would have gotten a higher rating. But almost like the very next day, it was like super forgettable for me. I didn't really nothing really sank in as being like great. So for me, having finished this, a week and a half ago, I'd give it a 2-star rating just because, I mean, it was okay, I guess. I mean, I'm vaguely remembering a lot of stuff that happened, but for me, it was just okay. Um, so yeah, I don't think I can give it anything higher just because I've not had that happen to me a lot where books kind of just vacate my mind. But it definitely happened with this one and pretty close after finishing it. So yeah, unfortunately, it's going to get a 2 for me. Will I read the author again? Maybe. I'm not going to say no. I don't think every book from an author is going to be a 2-star rating. But I think just considering the amount of like thrillers and domestic thrillers and all that we've been reading lately, like I need to take a break from that kind. And quite honestly, I'm kind of excited for December because I really like reading my Christmas
stuff. Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna be, heading in that direction sometime soon. So yeah, I think I'd give it a 2. Yeah. Okay. So kind of diving into something we usually talk about with most of our books as well. Let's talk a little bit about the characters. And in this, again, we have another ensemble. So we have Nora, or Lee, or Leo, or Leonora, whatever she's calling herself that day. So we have her. She's the main character. She's where we're getting all of our information. We have Flo, who is the hen party host, the hostess with the mostess. We have Claire, who is the bride to be. Tom, who is a newer friend to Claire. Nina, who is a friend of Claire's back from school. So Nora knows Nina from primary school. And Melanie, who I think is also a newer friend as far as uni. And then James is the groom to be, which I wasn't sure if I should include him here, but I thought, because it's this hen party is about their marriage, I just included him, even though he's not in every scene. So in general, anything stick out about these characters? Any characters that you want to discuss more in depth? What are your thoughts on our main character and her point of view, since it's the only one we get?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say everyone is forgettable, but they seem sort of bog standard for a lot of who they're supposed to be. Like Tom is a gay man in the theater world and friends with Claire since uni. So that's exactly who you picture in your head is who he is. Melanie is another friend from uni, but she's a new mom. So she leaves pretty quickly because she can't bear not having contact. So she goes. Like that also tracks for me. So everyone just kind of played their role. For Nora being the main person, I don't know. I know that the amnesia or whatever you want to call it is there obviously for a reason, because we have to jump back and forth in time a little bit to build the tension, to see what happened, who is dead, who they think did it, all that stuff. Like I understand why it's there. But it didn't, I don't know. I think parts of it were believable and parts of it weren't. Her amnesia. I think at first when she started to first come to grips with what was happening and that someone was dying and or someone had died, and like the first few times we checked back in with her in the present, that was more believable. But as it went on, I just sort of felt like, okay, can we just move on? So I don't know. I mean, everyone was fine. Flo really needed a lot of help, a lot of help, and I get that Claire was arrogant enough to think that she could be the one to help her, after all these years, and be the one to calm her down and everything else. But no, she needed lots and lots of help, professionally speaking, long term. So I don't know. They were all just kind of there. What did you think?
Yeah, a lot of the same thoughts. I think for me, I did not understand why these people were even there in the first place. I mean, maybe Tom, because they still kind of are in the same circles and whatnot. I just feel like it was like you're grabbing from so many distant people for a hen party, and Nora wasn't even invited to the wedding. Why would she be at the hen party? And why, if she knows she's not invited to the wedding, why would she go to the hen party? Even if her and Nina made this pact, but she's not even invited to the wedding. Like, that didn't make any sense to me at all. I didn't mind Nora's point of view. I actually appreciated her empathy for Flo. I really did. I was happy that that was in there, because I wouldn't have appreciated if, like, as a reader, Flo is unhinged. Like, there's a few bolts missing there. But if we were to have the entire ensemble also think she's completely unhinged, I feel like it would have been just too much.
Yeah.
And I was really happy that she could see the signs of manipulation, because she had been there once before. And I also, even though I don't think Claire deserved it, I also appreciated that Nora was giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe she has changed, or, like those kinds of things. I liked that it was very human of her, the way that she was kind of thinking about the past and their issues, but also trying to give the benefit of the doubt that time had passed. Even though in the end she was completely right, and Claire never changed and just got more manipulative and just found new cronies to manipulate and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I appreciated that part, and I felt like that really made some of the story more believable in a sense, because the character, like, I feel like that's what a person would do. They would say, well, it has been 10 years, or it has been this long, maybe she has changed. But then there were some parts that I was like, are you serious? Like, the moment she found out that it was James, I'd have been out of there. I'd have been like, you know what? I'm not part of this. You're crazy. This is why we haven't talked in however long. I cannot believe you would do this to me. And I'd be out, especially when you find out why her and James broke up in the first place, or whatever. Like, there's so many things that were not believable, but that, to me, I appreciated. I was like, okay, I'm liking this, because this makes sense. She's a grown woman now. She's trying to look at these situations as a grown adult, not as a 16-year-old. So I liked that. But as far as everyone else goes, like Tom bringing the drugs, and everyone's just like, yeah, we're going to smoke coke off of the whatever. And like that, I was like, seriously? Like, everyone's just going to do it because you're like being told you're too, like, you're not, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it was all just peer pressure. And they're all like, I know 26. Okay, your brains aren't fully developed at 26. I mean, so I get it. You're still a little whatever, but like, seriously?
I know.
Yeah.
It's so out of my life and so out of your life, like that kind of just drug use in general, but like especially that casual hard drug use. But I think for people who have used it before, it is just like no biggie. Because other friends of mine are like, yeah, I would do coke again. It's no big deal. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't get
okay.
that.
All
well,
right.
and we're from the Dare generation, so like,
yes,
we've grown up with like, say no sandwich,
say no.
Like, no. But I think to myself, for someone like Nora, who is in such an uncomfortable situation, to be like, sure, I'll do drugs to like make it better. I mean, that's not something I would do. I would probably drink less and try like my hardest to get out of there as soon as possible. I would have been just like Melanie and been like, peace, y'all. My boobs hurt. I gotta go feed a baby. Like, I'm out of here. And good for her, because she could have been killed, or she could have been, deemed the murderer. And at the very end, when Tom visited Nora and said, it could have been any of us, like, you were just the icing on the cake. So true.
Yeah.
And to think, like, to be that arrogant, to believe that your plan would work regardless of who came.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy. So you're always going to have Flo be unhinged because Flo will do anything that you tell her to do.
Right.
But, like, to be that arrogant to believe that no matter who came to this hen party, because as we know, like, 16 people were invited.
Right.
Didn't matter who showed up, someone else was going to get blamed for killing James. But it was going to probably just look like a random burglary,
Right.
So crazy.
I know.
And but, like, again, so, like, Tom, like, okay, he's there, Nina, I didn't really feel like she had a very strong presence. I mean, she was just there as well. And that could be because we are only really getting the one perspective. And even James' presence, like the stories about him and whatever were very small, and I think that was done on purpose because Claire didn't want to draw attention maybe to their dissension, So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, realistically, the only people I really remember are Nora, Flo, and Claire, to be honest. So, yeah. It looks like Miss Allie kind of feels the same way as I do regarding our rating of the book. Hi, Allie. Good morning.
Hope I should say I finished the book today too, so like it's recent for me.
Coffee. Yeah. So she'd give it like a 2.5 and a 3. And then Jessica is also with us here, and we're totally here for spoilers. So yeah, feel free to listen to all the spoilers because there'll be a lot. Okay. Yes. Hello. Okay, so now that we kind of get our characters, what did we think of, like, the presence of the book? I know a lot of people said, like, "Ooh, this is so creepy. This is so scary." Like, what are your thoughts on that? And I know you and I kind of talked a little bit about that before we went live, but, like, what do you consider, like, when you're reading this book and maybe when you're reading others, like, what is creepy about this book? Like, what to you goes, ooh, that's creepy or that's scary when I'm reading this? Because for me, I'm like totally, I wasn't creeped out at all. So please tell me, because I want to know.
Well, one of my big, like, fears, whatever, something I'm paranoid about my whole life, I've been like this, is if it's dark outside or getting dark, I have to close all the blinds and curtains, whatever. I have to close everything off. People can't see in because I'm always afraid there's going to be like a person's face right in the window, or someone's going to be like just standing and looking in the house at me. Like since I was teeny, it's always been that way. So the fact that this house is this big glass house in the middle of the woods, and yes, they have lights on to light everything up, so they can see like the big expanse of nothingness or snow between this totally glass house with really no curtains on it to the woods that you can't see at all. So like the woods freak me out, especially at night if I can't see what's going on. I'm not familiar with them or whatever. And the whole like totally glass, everything's visible. Those are both really, really major things for me. Like, you've been to my house. If it starts to get dark, I'm like, okay, let's close up the fishbowl. Like, I just can't hack it at all. So that was the biggest thing for me. Plus the fact that they are so isolated down this big muddy track, and there seem to be no neighbors anywhere, and there's no cell service. Then of course bad weather comes, knocks out the phone lines. I don't know if they ever said, I think they never just resolved that was intentional or not intentional, that the phones didn't work. I don't know, but that's freaky that there's no really way of getting in or out. And especially if it starts to snow, then you're really super trapped in this big house on display with people you don't really know, with at least one person, Flo, who is unhinged, and people doing all this really crazy stuff to try and like be cool, or I don't know, whatever. Like, all of it was just a big ball of anxiety for me. So yeah, that really was super creepy. And then all the little noises and stuff. I'm used to noises at my house. It's loud at night here, but I know my noises, you know, these noises, no. I don't like it. No thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really I don't really recall like feeling anything when I was reading all of that. I was just kind of like, yeah. But I don't know if it's maybe because maybe I think of other things as being creepy. But I totally see what you're saying. Absolutely. Like, absolutely. And I remember as a kid, I lived on a street, like, it was up on a hill, but it was, like, heavily wooded. And it wasn't the forest, but if you looked out the window, it looked like you lived in the forest. Sure. And I remember when the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, my friend and I went and saw that. And then she was, like, not feeling well. So instead of spending the night like she was supposed to, because all of my brothers were gone and my mom was gone, so it was just the two of us, she decided to go home, and then I had to be in my house in the woods. Yeah, that's creepy. But yeah, I don't know.
And I live alone. I've always lived alone, so I'm by myself all the time. So that's even creepier. So yeah, any kind of random noise with me, I'm like, nope. I don't want anyone seeing me walking around my house because I'm pretty much in pajamas or sweatpants if I'm home. Like, I just am. Sure. I don't care if it's 2:00 in the afternoon. If I'm done for the day, it's pajama time. So I don't want everyone to like see me walk around in my crazy ass pajamas constantly and knowing for sure that I'm not. There's no one else there. Like, I've said this before. The whole front of my house is windows, like almost floor to ceiling. So it's very obvious that there's no one else home. If you watch for any length of time, I live on a corner. I don't know who's stalking me. You can't see out past a certain point. So no, absolutely not.
I don't know who's stalking me.
I don't know. My friend got stalked and her house got broken into and they took like everything. They trashed her house.
Oh my gosh.
And she's married with 2 kids. But people watch her enough. It's residential, not in a corner. And like that was just confirmation for me, aside from the fact that I watch Unsolved Mysteries and Dateline. Like, oh no.
Nope,
I don't mess around with open windows. Absolutely not.
I hear you. Anytime I get creeped out at home or like creeped about, and if anything like pops in my head, I have to like literally play the image of Let It Go from Frozen in my head. Like I have to sing out the whole song. I have to see her doing the dance and everything because like that's the only way I get images out of my head. Sounds silly, but it super works. Yeah. I'm like afraid of the dark and stuff too. Like I don't like having to walk downstairs in the dark and then like the blinds are like the curtains are closed, but sometimes you can like see through cracks and stuff. And I'm always imagining like Jason from Halloween, like just standing in the street staring at the house. Like that's my thought is like there's just gonna be someone like not right in the window, but like far enough off that you're like, is that person like standing there like staring at the house? Like or I think in the backyard, because sometimes we have windows open because like who's looking out the backyard? But I always think like there's gonna be someone in the backyard just standing there staring at our house. So yeah, I get that. Jessica totally agrees with you. So super creepy. And then
no thanks.
Allie said being in an isolated house would with Flo would be deeply scary. Wasn't creeped out as a reader, but I would be as a character. Yeah. I think it's funny that like at every turn, Flo was always like the opposite of what everybody needed or wanted or whatever. Like the coffee versus tea thing. I was like, well, first of all, as a hostess, I get what you're trying to do with, catering towards the bride, but you also have how many other people here? And if you were a hostess, you would have been more accommodating for everyone.
Absolutely.
So like, I thought that was weird. But then I had to laugh. I laughed out loud when I read this. when it was Melanie and Nora in the kitchen after her run or whatever, and Melanie was going to make some tea and toast, and she's like, "Oh, here," and she like tells Nora like what jams there are, and Nora goes, "Is there any strawberry?" And I was like, and Melanie's like, "Nope," and I was like, "Well, Nora, they just don't have anything you like." Like, but in my head, I was thinking too, like, should there be strawberry? Like, is it a mandate, like, that you always have a certain kind? And it's just, like, as a writer, to me, I think to myself, why would you have that line in there? What does it matter if she eats whatever's here or if she asks if there's strawberry? Like, I feel like it's just filler. Like, why? It literally made me laugh out loud because I was just thinking they don't have coffee, they don't have strawberry jam. It just made me laugh. I don't know why, but it did. It made me laugh real good.
Yeah. That coffee thing is so bizarre too, because like you said, you're a hostess. You're hosting people you don't know. And coffee is a super basic morning drink. I mean, it's coffee and tea. It's two things, right? It's not like some crazy weird protein matcha smoothie. No, it's freaking coffee. Or like, I need basil pesto with my pasta. Like what? No, I mean, it's freaking coffee. And maybe that's partly because to show like just how focused Flo is on Claire and how obsessed she is with her, because only Claire does this, and like for what everybody else would like, but still you're hosting people you don't know, and it's a basic, like, come on.
Well, but that's the thing. Tom is a vegan or whatever, so she had that vegan pizza, which she like was like, oh, everyone who's not a vegan shouldn't eat this pizza, and I was like,
that's for Tom.
Lady, this is not Home Alone. There's not only one cheese pizza. Like, you have to just make enough, because guess what? People who like meat also like vegetarian things. You just need to make sure you have enough of everything. Like, and you, Laura, you know, I am probably the hostess with the mostest. I know how things go. I would never, in a million years, go to someone who I knew wasn't vegan and be like, "Are you eating the vegan snacks? You better put those off your plate because Tom is a vegan and I got all those snacks for him." Like, you're not gonna eat an entire pizza. Like, and then when they said like the pepperoni grease was like all over the vegan pizza anyways, I was just thinking, wow, you really screwed up there, because I don't know how that even happens.
I know. And gross, how greasy is that pepperoni that it's running off the pizza and like all over the place too, and everyone's just eating it? I'd be like, ugh. I mean,
yes.
I know.
They must have went to Toppers, because Toppers is the
so greasy
I have ever had.
Yeah, I agree.
Allie's funny. No Marmite.
Yeah.
Didn't she say that though? Wasn't there Marmite? I don't know. Maybe there wasn't.
Only just Vegemite. No Marmite, just Vegemite. So same but different.
So, anyways, past that, creepy or scary. So, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the back of our book, because there, in my version, there are a couple of discussion questions, and I thought we could dive in to these as opposed to our own. And I thought it was funny because at the end of those questions, it says ways to enhance your book club. So I thought I would read these for our book club to see if we wanted to enhance it anyway. But this says, plan a book club meeting that's also a hen night. Keep things light and festive, unlike the hen party in the book, with fun cocktails and games like Never Have I Ever. Wouldn't that be fun? Could you imagine a big Zoom party with all of us? We all have our own snacks and stuff. That would be so fun. The second thing says, if you're not too superstitious, and if the scene in the book didn't scare you for good, break out your Ouija board and ask some questions about the members of your book club. Can I also say that I felt like that whole scene was so absolutely ridiculous.
It was pretty bonkers.
Like 12-year-olds play Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the last one says, bring a copy of your favorite scary story and read it aloud to the group. Bonus points if you read it in the dark. Well, you must have X-ray or in dark vision, because I don't know how you'd read a story in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bunch of questions here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's go ahead and pick one or two. While I look for a good one, let's talk about the games they played, like for a hen party, like the Never Have I Ever, and then Ouija board at a hen party. Like, have you done any of those things at hen parties?
No, I mean, there was Truth or Dare I've done at bachelorette parties before. Once was my idea, and then the other times were not. It was the first time I was a maid of honor, and I didn't really know everybody, so I thought that might be kind of like a good way to get what everyone's was like, sort of. And the second time and third time and fourth time, it was like, I don't want to do this. Like, whatever. So I've done that before. And I've done questions, kind of like happens a lot at baby showers here in the States and wedding showers, like questions about the bride and their like relationship with her fiance and stuff. I've done that stuff. But that's pretty much it for games. Otherwise, we just all kind of sit around or like have a movie or two on in the background and eat and just kind of chat. And I mean, it's not really... Only once did we like hop to see strippers. It was horrible. So, I mean, yeah, it's real bad. Probably my parents' minivan, like, oh my God, it was bad. But yeah, not really. I mean, no. How about you?
Yeah, no. I'm trying to think. So I think I've been to a lot, but like comedy clubs are really popular.
Yeah.
I've been to Brewers games for bachelorette. I've been like to bars and stuff. I did go to one strip club, which was super awkward. Me and the guy I was standing up with, we both were not into it, so we were like sitting way in the back. And they even come to your table, and it's kind of just like, I'm really not into this. So if you could like march your naked ass away, that'd be really cool. Because I don't want to catch whatever may be crawling on you. Like, it's just, and no offense to any strippers out there, but no, thank you.
Nope.
Yeah. Anywho, yeah. Ugh. I think my thing is like when you sit down on a chair and you are not really wearing any clothes.
Right.
I think to myself, I am also sitting in a chair. Who sat in this chair before me? Without any clothes on.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm kind of like, I'm a modest, like it was hard. It was hard for me. And I was like, and I wasn't drinking because I was like the designated driver. So it was super hard to sit there for, gosh, I don't even know how long we were there, but I was like,
yeah, too long.
Ready to go? Are we ready to go?
Yeah. And everyone was having a good time. It's the same for me too. I was the sober one. I was driving everyone around as maid of honor, and everyone was like having a great time. And when we got to this one particular strip club, it was just women. And like, we thought it was supposed to be like the one night that was men. No, it's just women. So everyone was having a great time. And I was just like, I'm ready to go whenever you guys want to go. Like, not to be a wet blanket, but no, thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, I can appreciate a female body. Like, that's not my problem. Like,
that doesn't bother me at all. It's just like,
look at them every day. But I'm just like not into like being there. Like, I like to be separate from that. And it was like it was like bachelor and bachelorette party. So like all the guys were there and all the girls were there. It was all very awkward. But anywho, that's the one and only time I've ever done that. Yeah, other than that, like Ouija boards, like, first of all, I have been told by my mother since a very young age that I'm not allowed to do a Ouija board. So I've just never done it because I wasn't ever allowed to. But I don't really believe in that anyways. That specific thing. There's certain things I can believe in and I can consider, but that's not one of them. I just don't know why that was part of a hen. Like, that to me doesn't seem like it fit the bill. Like, I could see the Never Have I Ever, like, because it's kind of like
Like get to know
goofy,
you, yeah.
that drinking thing and whatever.
Yeah.
But then, too, when they went shooting the next
Mhm.
day, I was like, how is this a hen party?
Right.
Why, wouldn't you go and get pedicures, manicures? Like, even Tom would have been into that. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know why shooting would have been part of that. It was, yeah, it was the weirdest hen party ever.
Mhm.
And for Flo to be so, like, everything was so meticulous. Like, the tequila is for this specific drink, not shots, this specific drink. It was just, it was all weird. Anyhow. So let's jump into some of these questions here. Oh, we'll do one question because I have to be gone in like a minute. Oh, so what's a good one? Is there anything that you specifically want to discuss? Maybe we shouldn't do these questions.
No, I can't think of anything because it is fairly forgettable. I mean,
It is. It is.
I don't know.
Jenna just made a really good comment. She said, "Hi, Jenna, by the way." She goes, "The whole party reminded me
Yeah.
of a third
Hi, Jen.
planet." Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the main thing is, here's a big spoiler for all you spoileries. So obviously Claire is the killer. She premeditated murder of her fiance because he basically found out that she ruined his relationship with Nora because of a text message that was sent when they were 16 years old. And she got pissed because she thought he was going to be all like, "Oh, I love you even more for telling me," because she's mental. And she decided, well, too bad, so sad, so I'm going to kill you, but I'm going to make someone else fall. Like, I'm going to make someone else be the person that does it so that I don't get in jail and all those things. So, did you see that coming? Did you think it was going to be Claire? Did you think it was going to be James who was going to be murdered? How did that all fall on you?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was going to be James. I thought it might be because I was trying to think of any other person who is in their little orbit that could be showing up, that would know where this house is, that would know like about the back door, would know about all this stuff. Like, and he was a person that actually I think of aside from like spouses or whatever. But why would they show up? They don't know them at all. Um, I did think it was Claire right away, but then they keep pointing at other people, and I thought, well, maybe I don't know, maybe it wasn't Claire. And they kept coming back to it, like I think it's got to be her because she is such a control freak, and she is so perfect and so beautiful and so poised all the time. And especially in the beginning, Nora keeps mentioning it over and over again how like every time you glance at her, she just looks perfect and perfect and perfect. Like that's not a real person, you know. So I did think it was her. Never 100% all the time, but I did. I'm sorry it was James because he just happened to get stuck with a nut job who fell in love with him, and then he was with someone he really liked, and then the nut job, Claire, had to have everything her way, and she still wanted him. So this was the easiest way to break them up and like take him for herself. And so yeah, I don't know. I was surprised, but not. And I did like how Tom explained at the end about how it could have been any of us. Like if Nora didn't come, it was just perfect, the icing on the cake, but it would have been anybody just because she had to get out with her hands clean, like from all everyone else looking at it. So yeah, got it, didn't, got it. I don't know. What did you think?
Well, I mean, up until the point, okay, so up until the moment they see the intruder, when they see the intruder walking up the stairs, that was the exact moment I figured it out.
Mm.
But before that moment, I really thought that it was like some random something was happening to them because of the snow tracks, because of the door, because of the saying like how the neighbors didn't like how they built this house. Like all of that was like leading me in this direction of like this is going to be some kind of random home invasion and they're all going to have to like fight for their lives and someone's dead in that situation for fighting. But as soon as they saw the person walking up the stairs, and I think the line says something like the person was looking at their phone, I was like, it's James. They're going to shoot him. It's James. Because I was like, why would an intruder be just walking up the stairs and looking at their phone? Like, to me, that's like they're trying to figure out, like, okay, where am I supposed to be next? Like,
what room was it?
What room was it? And as soon as I'm like, it's James, because they kept talking about James, this and that, and James. I'm like, it's gonna be James. And then so that happened, and while Nina and Nora were down there with him, and he kept saying, like, he kept trying to talk, I was like, it's Claire. Claire did it. It's Claire. It's Claire. It's Claire. Because it was way too obvious that, like, Flo was crazy. So I'm like, she's way too obvious. She is the red herring. She, she might be involved, but, like, she's being manipulated, basically. Yeah. And then the nail in the coffin to be like, yes, it was Claire, is when she drove off with James without Nina in the car. I was like, no, it's her. She did it. She's trying to elongate the process as far as, like, getting him to a hospital. Like, it's her, that kind of thing. So, I mean, there's certain aspects. Now, I'm surprised that, like, James still died. Like, I know I'm, like, I'm a sucker for a happy ending, but, like, he didn't deserve that. Like, I was hoping he was going to make it, and I just felt really bad. And then Flo, too, like, how that kind of panned out. Like, I felt really bad about that. And, I think that's good, though. Like, this sounds really bad, but my friend Beth Ann always tells me this. Like, I always need a happy ending, and, not all endings are happy. So some books do need people to die, people who don't deserve it. So I felt really bad that, like, James and Flo, like, end up dying in this whole situation. Two completely, like, undeserving, like, they didn't do anything but love Claire, and look what happened to them. So I felt really bad about that, but yeah. So yeah, but yeah, up until that point, I really thought it was going to be some random home invasion, which that would have been creepy because I'm always afraid of home invasions. Home invasions to me are super creepy. I don't like them. I don't. Yeah, that kind of scares me a lot. I think because I swear, Criminal Minds, that show has completely made me believe that a home invasion could happen to me any day. So yeah.
Oh, I just thought of something else that really bothered me. Right at the end of the book, when Nora goes back to the house, like, gets out of the hospital, goes back to the house, she gets in the back door and, like, notices, this is so bizarre, that was, like, taped over so it couldn't latch all the way. That made me so mad. There was no way in hell anyone, because there were all those people there that checked the back door and would look and everything and would know. No one would have noticed that and not seen before. And she's just seeing for the first time. She was in and out of that back door several times by herself, Nora. Like, come on. That's so stupid. And the cops seemingly didn't notice, and they wouldn't have done something extra to make sure that door had stayed shut. And it, like, she had to crawl underneath. Like, that was, I'm sorry, no one is that dense. Like, no police officer is that dense not to notice that. That I would right away. I was like, that's so stupid. I can't believe it. Like, no.
Well, not only that, but I mean, I watch enough crime shows to know, like, they are looking at everything.
Right.
So yes, would have found the tape, and they would have found the bullet. They would have found that shell in that jacket. They would have collected everything. They would have collected everything. They would have collected all the food to see if there was poison in anything. I mean, that's what a crime scene is. You just you collect everything, and you don't, like, everything is evidence. Everything.
Yeah, especially when, like, at the end when she, like, Nora remembers running through the woods to try and make it to the street before Claire does. Like, they would have had cops looking in there, searching for stuff, watching for blood drips to see if something was dropped, blah, blah, blah. So even if she managed to hold on to that shell that whole time she was running, I mean, if she didn't, it would have been found somewhere along that trail. Like, it would have been very thoroughly searched. There were daylight hours there. Like, that whole thing was like, no, this is no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not with you in the story. Ugh. Anyways, sorry. Yeah. Right at the end, I was like, that's so stupid. I can't believe it.
Yeah. I do apologize. But let's get through these comments and we'll sign off here. And I do apologize for the short, and I know we are kind of all over the place with our discussion here, but yeah. So Jenna says here, still confused about the snow tracks and the phone lines being down. Did I skip through the explanation of those? Was Claire and Flo doing those things? Yeah, so it was Claire and Flo, mostly Claire. And I think what they said about the tracks was Claire was just trying to create that tenseness with everybody, so that they were all scared on the landing and they were all freaking out, so that when they did see James, they would assume he was an intruder and that he was coming after them, so that whoever was holding the gun would have fired. So she was creating this feeling of isolation, the scared feeling, the terror. So she was doing that purposefully. I don't know if they ever specifically say anything about the phone lines, but I'm sure she had something to do with it in some way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Allie says, anyone else stuck on the relationship?
Yeah, that was strange. Like the obsessive point in her brain.
But 10 years later.
Can't let it go, can't let it go, can't let it go.
Especially when the detective Lamar was like, you haven't had any relationships since then. I was like, okay. Even when we find out like that they had conceived and she had an abortion and whatever else, I was like, you were 16. You are now 26. You're going to tell me in all of that time, because of that one incident, nothing.
Right.
Nothing. And I'm not saying you have to. You didn't have to, but like, that to me, I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's believable. Jenna says, didn't get that either. Traumatic experience for her, but super weird. Yeah. And she was so like, and like they were in love and everything, but it was like, what, a 2-month relationship anyways? Oh, what did she say?
6 months.
6 months. She said 5 because she didn't want to say 6 because of, I mean, come on now. Yes, Criminal Minds is legit. I think they're actually starting another show, but on Paramount. Too many streaming services to keep.
Yes.
All together. So where in Nora's head, she's constantly referring to the incident that ended her relationship, but never what it was until the end. Yeah. I felt like that was a little like, just get on with it. Like, just tell us what it is so we can figure it out. Yeah. You're telling me she wouldn't have thought, what about the incident? Yeah. Didn't make sense to me, but guess we're overthinking it. Yeah. I know. And that's why I believe that as soon as she found out that it was James that she was marrying, out of there. Sorry, Nina. I gotta go. I'm not gonna sit in this house with this crazy person. Like, no, I don't believe it. So, do I think it was poorly written? No.
It was.
Would I not read this author? No. Yeah, I think it, and like I think I was telling you, I physically read half of the book and then I listened to the rest in audio, and I felt like the audiobook was well done. Like I thought it was pretty good. It was easy to follow. There's a lot of energy towards the end, but I think in general, there's too many things that I was kind of like, I don't know, do people act like this? And I also think about the fact that they're 26. I feel like their age is not appropriate. I think this should have been written at like 36 because I feel like that's more of what I felt like they were acting. Like, think about it, Nina, 26. Do you know how many years of school a doctor goes through?
Yeah.
And she's been to Columbia or whatever she was as like Doctors Without Borders or whatever. And she seems so veteran of a doctor. At 26, she would still be in a residency. I guarantee it.
Even if she was like a Doogie Howser, she'd probably still be like just in the first year or two of working.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
They all just seem to be a bit older, like even Tom.
Yeah. That will establish on the West End stuff.
Husband was like more like in his 50s because he was like a big name director.
Right.
So I didn't feel like the age was appropriate. And I think the only reason why the age was the age it was is because if it was 20 years, then it would be super not believable.
Right.
So I was kind of like, I don't know. These don't feel like 26-year-olds to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what 26-year-old goes, yeah, let's go into the woods for a 2-night stay. Like, they'd be like, no, let's stay in London where there's bars and pubs and whatever. Like, and raves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anywho, I really do have to go. I'm sorry I have to cut it short. I love talking with all of you guys. If you're watching this in replay, if there's anything that we missed, which I'm sure it's a huge, ginormous list, go ahead and put it in the comments. We will chit-chat back and forth and definitely get back to you. There's just a few more comments. Looks like, yes, if Nora, I'd be nope as soon as I found out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The book was a page turner. Yep. Yeah. I read it in 2 sittings. So, yep.
Me too. 2
definitely.
sittings.
Yep. And then job scenes. Yeah. The mature. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I think the age was inappropriate. I don't think it made much sense. But okay. So next time you see us, it'll be on November 6th, Sunday, November 6th. For new product release, as well as our reading sprints of Jeanette Wall's The Glass Castle. So this is November's read. Until then, happy Halloween, if anyone's doing anything like that. Super fun. I took Baby G to a local grocery store who was having like a boo fest, and she was dressed up like a butterfly. So super cute. Yeah. She was okay with it, so we'll see. We might take her again out for Halloween, but we're not sure. So, yeah. Okay. Well, have a good night, everybody. I hope you're reading something great, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Nope, it's next week. It's Sunday.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, it's Sunday. Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye, everyone.